and welcome to
Dragons.
Did you forget the name of our show?
No, I just thought it would be funny to see how you would react if I didn't take the cue.
Oh, okay. Unicorns.
And other creative creatures, myself included.
Yeah, well, we don't know if you have a good time watching the show, but we have a great time making it, right?
Thank God.
That's the important stuff.
I think so.
And I'm here today with...
Let's see, who am I today? Mom. No, I'm Rona Gofstein.
That's funny. You look a lot like an author we had on named Rachel
Really?
Kenley.
I've
Yeah,
heard
we
about
had her on.
She wrote about those mermaids? Very weird.
Yeah, she, this thing that they just, it's really porn, but they brush it up and they call
they call it romance?
Yeah, they call it romance.
Go figure.
Anyways, and I'm Dr. Kevin, and we're your host for Dragons, Unicorns, and Other Creative Creatures, where we promote, support, and discuss the arts.
Yes. And all its many, many, many forms.
That's right.
Thank goodness.
And we really expand out as much as we can.
We do.
So I just finished doing Hudson Old Home Days.
Is that about old homes or old people?
Neither.
Oh, it's just called Old Homes Days?
It's called Old Home Days. I don't know why it's called Old Home Days. I've been doing it for a long time. They do it in the field by that house, the like Victorian house. It's a museum or a library or something now.
That sounds
It's
like an old
across from the Alverne High School, but it's in the big field. It's outdoors.
Yeah.
So they had like bumper cars, and they had zip
fun.
line things, and
things.
they had fried dough, and all this.
Fried dough, as long as you're starting with fried dough, that's not a bad start.
Okay, so they have all of the stuff for a carnival, and then they have vendor booths. So the Web of Light Foundation was there.
Nice.
We were promoting the Web of Light show, and Angie and I were doing intuitive readings.
Cool.
And we were promoting all of the new classes coming up at the Wolf Center.
Well, back to school, so there's a lot of ways to do that, which is kind of nice.
Yep.
And you have another expo.
And we have another expo, September 30th, October 1st. There's a Web of Light Expo in Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
Incredible.
Because
you needed more things to do.
I know. Well, I got myself so much trouble at the beginning of the year because I would talk about, well, we've got this, we've got the spring expo and we got the fall expo and I've got all these events. My fiance would say, and a wedding. And I'm like, oh yeah, and I got a wedding this year. Oops.
And by the way, let me just throw in.
So, but I met some people, a couple of different people, and some of them are going to come on the show.
Excellent. Which one, Web of Light or this one?
This one.
Excellent.
I found some guests for the show.
We find them everywhere.
There was this.
Well, artists are everywhere, so that's what happens. It's kind of nice.
Artists are everywhere, and so. So there's a young man in his 20s that's created a clothing line and a whole thing to go with it to deliver a message, and we're gonna have him come on and. Trying to think if there was somebody else, but there's a lot of stuff going on there. And I know I talked to 2 or 3 people. I mean, it was 5 to 11 Thursday, 5 to 10 Thursday, 5 to 11 Friday, noon to 11 on Saturday, and then 12 to 5. So the voice is still a little...
In and out.
Yeah, in and out, talking to a lot of people, doing a lot of things.
But it goes back to why we need to do, at least... it may not be our main source of income, and hopefully it is, but we need to be doing the things we love.
Yeah, well, I mean, like this young man that we're going to have on, I mean, he still runs a construction business on the side. He'd like to make his clothing line and his message about living life out front, expanding your zones, your comfort zones, and pushing yourself. He'd like to do that full time, but oftentimes you can't start as a full-time artist.
No.
It takes a while. You got to build it. And it was a very diverse crowd.
Nice.
Now, I say this, and I'm not trying to pick a fight when I say this.
I love it when you preface things that way.
Who, me? But we were catty corner, like facing distance from a local Baptist church, who occasionally gave us the impression they were a little less than happy being catty corner from the intuitive reading booth.
Different message.
Different message, stuff like this. And then there was one other down at the end of the row. You've seen those little pamphlet books about, going to hell and sin and all that stuff. And you live and let live. But one of the reasons that I actually brought it up is somebody wrote a review of going to it.
Oh.
And they had said, and we're getting close to Dr. Kevin going up.
Oh, no, on the soapbox.
On the soapbox. And had written a review and said, oh, the food was overpriced. Well, the food was carnival priced.
Yeah, but you don't go there for value menu.
McDonald's is down the road, but this is carnival food. This is fair food, and and you pay for it. And they had a lot of different bands. They had at one point they had a 40s band, and they had a rock band, and
nice.
They had contemporary, and they had all sorts of stuff going on for kids, and they had dancing demonstrations. I mean, they had a good variety. And this review was just like trashing the whole thing. The food was overpriced.
You can always find these things if you can always find the negative if you must. But.
There were no, there were no interesting vendors. So obviously they never made it to our booth.
Obviously.
And then they talked about the religious, and then there were religious organizations that were hawking and trying to convert you or something. Now, it's not very often you're going to hear me defend the Baptist Church.
No, that's true.
No.
Not
and I actually, I don't know if have you ever seen my meme about Bible bullying?
No, but I'm going to look for it now.
Yeah, I've got a meme out there about no more Bible bullying, and which basically is you don't get to decide for somebody else how they should define God.
No.
If they come and ask you, that's one thing. If they don't, you need to leave them in peace. But I was there for 4 days across from this, or catty corner from this Baptist church, and I never once saw them hawking, grabbing people, trying to engage them. They were respectful. They were behind the booth. If somebody came up and looked, they had this little thing, three things God can't do, and you opened the doors to see what they were. I never opened the doors because it's not my thing.
Right, you wouldn't have approached, but yeah.
That's not my God.
But they weren't trying to shove it down anybody's throat.
And I walked by the other place a few times, and they were never like out there, being the fanatical nutcases that some people in their religion are. And I thought, this is really unfair.
That is.
And so, so I just want to put it out there that religion, like art, is a personal choice.
Sure.
And as long as they're respecting yours, you should respect them. There are some people that don't think that what something is art, and that's okay.
Don't hang it in your house.
Don't hang it in your house. Don't buy it. Don't listen to it. But don't call him a pretend artist, or don't, put him down, or say...
Or suggest that just because it's there, it's being hawked.
Yeah, like, why don't you draw something real? I mean, I remember the day and age when cartoonists were not considered artists.
Is it true?
Yeah.
Yeah, Alison Bechtel, who's a cartoonist who created Fun Home, which is her memoir. Her memoir was done as a graphic novel. Mm-hmm. And she actually says, because her father didn't want her to do that work. He wanted her to, if she was going to art, that wasn't serious. That was silly.
Yeah.
That was childish. And that was a big hurdle she had to get over.
And art gets to be silly. Art gets to be whatever the artist wants it to be.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work for you, walk away from it.
Well,
but don't criticize it.
Not long ago, we had Ursula Wong on, and she shines a light on how to, surviving after trauma and what trauma does to us. And she does that through fiction. And then you can be as playful and as silly as you want with almost the same subjects.
Yep. You can teach somebody something through, or have somebody grasp a concept through making them laugh, mm-hmm. through making them cry, through making them think.
That's the best part.
That's the best part. So speaking of clothing lines and art that has not always been taken seriously as art, let's introduce today's guest.
I would be happy to. Our guest today is Kelly Mulry, who is known far and wide as Trainer Kelly. Okay, I think she's known far and wide as Trainer Kelly, and she's the owner of Trainer Kelly's Network, which is a publishing company focused exclusively on their original works. Their inspiration and influences are Japanese animation and comics, and especially the Pokemon franchise. So there you go. You can find art from wherever whatever inspires you.
Whatever your muse is.
Yeah. Okay. They've been actively creating since 2001, which is impressive since they were born in 1999. No, I'm kidding. She's young, but she's not that young. They're young, but they're not that young. But started moving towards a business model in 2015, which is really exciting. So their works are available for viewing at trainerkelly.net, and you can find their merchandise online and on. Is it pronounced Patron? It sounds like it's whenever I say that.
It sounds like a tequila.
Tequila.
Yeah, it makes me think of tequila.
But just look for her contact information as we talk to the awesome Kelly Mulry. Hi, Kelly.
Hello.
Do you create this while you're doing tequila shots?
No, that's not the Patron.
Actually, it's pronounced Patreon.
Is it? Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
That makes sense because it's patrons for the arts.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah,
Patrons for the arts.
took the
Patreon.
word. They took the word patron
Patron.
and threw an e in it.
To make it more.
I think just to kind of almost make something a bit unique. I've read the story once.
Okay, I'm gonna have to find that. It's a great idea. It's a great concept because artists have always named patrons.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
we
that's
never.
what you do. You go on and you pledge a certain amount of whatever per month and blah blah blah. blah.
You can support your favorite artists.
You can support your favorite art. Well, and it's important to support the arts because we don't have this, there's decreasing support in the arts coming from the government.
And therefore schools.
And schools and stuff like that, because obviously building bombs and, passing money to your wealthy friends so they can be more wealthy is more important than the arts or education.
We disagree. We disagree with that. I disagree with that.
So
you have a network. Now, first of all, how did it become Trainer Kelly?
Trainer Kelly, the trainer portion is from Pokemon, because as I said, Pokemon is a huge influence just in my life in general.
When did you start playing it? How old were you?
Pokemon?
Yeah. Because I think you mentioned you have a character who was sort of based in part on that.
Yep. I got into Pokemon when I was in 2nd grade. It was actually after like the huge hype. It was when the hype was dying down. And with actually my clique of friends, we hate Pokemon because Pokemon's for boys. That was our big thing. And then my younger sister, she had invited her best friend over, and her best friend's younger brother also came along. And my younger sister's best friend and her brother were like, "Yay, Pokemon's on!" And because my mom's oblivious, she didn't know my younger sister and I were like, "Ew, Pokemon." She put it on. It was the episode Lights, Camera, Quaction, where the characters, one of their Pokemon, ended up being on a movie. It was a filler episode, but I fell completely in love with it, and it changed my life in the most notable way. It made me realize that things aren't always as clear-cut. So I thought it was just for boys, but once I saw that my younger sister's best friend loved it, and I was loving it, it wasn't that way. It was for everybody.
And especially for you.
Very much so. Like my own art style is inspired by Pokemon. Primarily the art style of the TV series, although the TV series itself was influenced by Ken Sugimori, who is the illustrator for the video games.
So have you now learned that there is nothing that's just for boys or just for girls?
Yeah, it's kind of, well, in terms of like, this kind of entertainment stuff, everything has become a lot more fluid for me, and I no longer see things in black and white, when people are trying to make girls play dress up in princess dresses and the boys with the Hot Wheels. It's just one of those.
The princess is on the Hot Wheels. Let them drive the cars.
And if the little boys want to wear princess dresses, more power to them.
Exactly. So,
Which seems so strange because, the names that most people can come up with in fashion, more of them are male than female. And more of them prefer to dress women than men, so go figure.
Yeah.
Well, that's because it was more fun to dress women. You had actually more freedom in some ways.
And pants are hell, I understand, to make.
Yeah, and that it pretty much broke down a lot of like my prejudgments and just kind of. So I no longer thought in just that everything's black and white.
That's amazing. Most people would think, Pokemon's. There are certainly judgments based on, I can't believe adults still play this. They make fun of it on The Big Bang Theory and things like that. But the fact that here was this one episode of this one show that made you start to realize, wait a second, here I am in 3rd grade, and second grade, and I've already got some.
Yeah.
Somebody already told me, no, draw the flower like this.
Yeah.
And the flower does not have to be drawn. you know.
It was funny too because it was just a filler episode. There was nothing for okay.
Not a big plot changing kind of.
No, just a filler episode. Still to this day, it's one of my favorite episodes. It's just really wacky, but it just it really it just seeing it because I realized, oh wait a minute, my younger sister's best friend likes it. I love this. I need to pay more attention to this. Watch it, and it just made me realize not to be so judgy on people, not to think
What a
so
great way
black and
to, I mean, to learn that so young.
I know, it's so
From
weird
Pokemon, no
because
less.
there was nothing in the episode that would have taught me that. It was just
But
something I had
something.
it was just
Clicked.
everything.
It just
Yeah,
it just clicked
clicked.
for you.
Yeah.
And you created, what was the first character that came from that for you?
Kelly, she was originally supposed to be me, but then then
My
that was in
heroines are
third
usually
grade.
supposed to be me too, so I
And
get
when
that.
I was in third grade, I had actually created her as my persona. It was because I had rewritten 3 of the episodes of Pokemon inside this mini blue journal that our teacher had, and I decided to retell these 3 episodes. At the end of the year, I went back and replaced some of the said whatever the character's name was, and replaced it with me or Kelly. I can't remember which one it was now, but I did that, and I started drawing pictures, so that's how Kelly came out. But she was actually not the first character I ever created. I actually had created 3 Powerpuff Girl fan characters first, but Kelly was the one that had stuck with me, and in 5th grade I realized she wasn't me. I still kept her name as Kelly because that's what she was originally supposed to be. She was supposed to be me, so she stayed as Kelly, which. And now I have a couple different versions of her. There's still the Pokemon version of her. There's a website mascot for my website where she's Kelly the Dreamer, because I kind of realized.
I really like that.
I realized a couple years ago with my old therapist that Kelly is my subconscious, and that still kind of creeps me out to this day.
No, it's okay. You know, we all have those. I mean, I always joke about creating characters. I don't have to create them. I am already plenty of them.
Well, you've said many times on the show that you went from wanting to be an actress and do
play all the roles.
To playing all the roles, which is what the writer does, which is the creator does.
You get to be all the roles.
So you get to be aspects of yourself and aspects of your experiences.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So you at some point may create a Pokemon version of Rona or Dr. Kevin.
I want to be a Pokemon. That would be cool.
That,
I think I would look great with big anime eyes and a little teeny nose.
now I have to admit here, I've never seen Pokemon. I know nothing about it.
I know aspects of it.
Except that I've heard the word.
Yeah, it's short for Pocket Monsters.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's a Japanese franchise. Japan likes to take longer words, so in Japanese, Pocket Monsters, it says Poketo Monster, and then they take the Pokemon out of Pocket Monsters and squish them together. That's
Like we do
awful.
cheeseburger instead of hamburger with cheese.
Okay.
Fine, maybe
But yeah,
lunchtime.
so actually I probably spent most of my time actually doing a lot of the fan works, but starting in 4th grade I started working on my own original stuff. However, this always kind of took a back seat for reasons I'm not quite sure. I've always had them in my head, but I've always kept them under wraps because I really wanted to write them, but I didn't want to spoil it for anybody.
Oh, the fan stuff? Or?
My original works.
Oh.
My original works I always kept quiet. The fan works, not so much. Like, you can go on my DeviantArt and browse that and find them. My original works, on the other hand, I kept pretty much under wraps. I didn't want anybody to take them, and I didn't want to spoil people before I had gotten to that point, because my intention has always been to write them.
So you want to create your own anime series, so to speak?
Universe. Yes.
What is a goal?
My goal is to write stories and comics, short stories, novels. If there's any other forms of storytelling, which includes animation and video games, I'll happily do those too. But right now the focus is on comics, short stories, and novels. And just to create a very large universe with an overarching storyline that overall should hopefully inspire people in positive ways. It doesn't matter if
Awesome.
it doesn't matter if it's in a small way, like it just makes them smile, or if it's in a really big way that they want to go out and change the world and it gets them moving on their own, whatever projects that they need to get done.
So now these characters that we're looking at, and we have a bunch of stuff on the table, and I'm going to get up and start to in a second give some people a better visual, because we have this table which probably is a little bit of a blur to our audience at this time. But what I want to do is, so first of all, we have now, congratulations, you have learned the importance of merchandising, which a lot of artists never get.
No, it's true.
You know,
That almost surprises me. I ended up picking that up because I decided just through my observances at conventions that I attend that most of the people who tend to be attracted to my works are middle schoolers and high schoolers. Also, the parents tend to really like my works, which is an awesome bonus.
Yes.
Very awesome bonus, like you and Max.
Max.
We met separately too. You didn't
Yes,
come
we
over
did.
with Max. It was totally separate, which was awesome. But I had decided, where my train of thought was going. Sorry. Okay, now I remember. I had grown up in middle school. I had gotten into anime and manga big time, which is Japanese animation, Japanese comics, and so I've had the experience of actually going through what middle schoolers and high schoolers go through now with wanting merchandise for their favorite comics and stuff like that. I also know too, just through my interactions, because I have family who's in middle school and high school, and I have friends who are in those as well. Everything that they always want, they don't I mean, sometimes they occasionally want the books and stuff. Usually they want the merch. All they want is
well, yeah, and that's it. So I want to
Merch. I want the stuffed animal.
So I'm going to do this and have you introduce us to some of the characters. Before, obviously, this is a stylish tote bag.
Yes, that is a prototype because I needed to check everything before I opened my shop.
Okay.
Smart girl.
So the graphics
now,
are different now.
Are you, first of all, when you create this image, are you doing it, is it a computer image? Is it a drawing? What is it? Talk to me about how the image itself is created.
Okay, so pretty much what I have been doing since probably 2004 is I draw on paper.
Okay.
Then probably within like the past like 3 or 4 years, I use these really awesome mechanical pencils that are different colors. Each one is a different color. Sketch all my circles and lines to create the base of the body, draw on the details. Then I use a regular pencil, sketch that, scan that into the computer, do Photoshop adjustments. Then I do the rest of the work digital.
Photoshop adjusted.
Yeah, it's long and tedious. Well, to start it, because at first it's traditional sketch, scan, Photoshop to make it black and white, and then I adjust something called levels so that the sketch underneath is no longer seen, and all I see is mostly clean pencil lines. Then I open it in a program called Clip Studio Paint, and then I do my artwork digitally. I do the line art using the G pen in the program, and then the rest of the artwork is done with the paint bucket, which is the best tool ever.
Holy
Clipping
cow.
layers, custom digital watercolor.
So there's several layers.
Starting
Now-
with sort of the literal hand drawing and then
Going from there.
The digital artwork will easily have like 100 layers by the time I'm done with that particular style.
Okay, so now we've had some other artists on of varying doing varying things. I made this offer to one of the other artists, somebody who does some crossover sketching and graphics like you do. Remember when we had Quinn on?
Yep, fan art.
Fan art, okay. So, so I'm going to give you the same opportunity that I gave Quinn, which is if you ever get so motivated to do an anime version of Rona and Dr. Kevin and you get it to us, we'll use it in the show and give you credit at the end of the show for it.
Yeah, we don't have a logo yet, so yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be
Should anime
surprised
us.
if I do that at one point.
If just you're doodling and we pop
yeah,
out,
I've done plenty of like anime selfies. I've done them for me, for my mom, my younger sister,
love it,
random
anime
people, my
selfies.
husband.
That's awesome. So who is this?
So now we know. So who is? She makes me think of a redheaded that girl.
Yes.
Actually, that is a guy. His name is
Oh,
Carwin.
that's right, you told me this too,
Yeah,
and I
everyone, that's usually their first reaction. Unfortunately, I don't have a picture of his parents, but when you see his parents, his looks make more sense.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's a nice thing to
When
know
my
about a person.
when my husband saw his parents, he's like, "Oh, now I see where Carwin gets his looks from." Which also, Carwin, I unintentionally based off my husband. He was supposed to be a parody of a character my husband had come off of that he does to annoy me.
That's funny. Yeah. You know,
And then it
as writers, we joke, don't piss me off or I will kill you in my next book. Yeah. So apparently artists have similar,
Yeah, well, it turned out
don't tease me or I will turn you into a t-shirt.
Now this is Karen as well,
This is
right?
Carwin
Yeah,
again,
that is
yeah.
Carwin again. That is-
Carwin.
Carwin.
Yep,
Okay.
Carwin.
I
And
love the front back. And you know me, I love those colors. Those are my summer colors.
these are definitely fun colors.
They are.
Yep.
So tell us about this character, because you're both a writer and an artist.
Yeah, and story writer,
and a
storyteller.
storyteller,
Yep.
yeah. So tell us about. I'm trying to see if there's any other. No, these are. Oh,
Yeah, cell phone cases. I have
cell phone case, kiss.
Oh, that's honestly just random text I threw in the background of Carwin being full of himself, but you can't see it, which is fine because it's not meant to be seen. It's just meant to be a background.
Just to give the impression of words.
Okay, so it could be missing me if only you, or kissing me if only you,
Ooh.
or I'm not going to keep
It's
on going.
basically just Carwin saying you're beautiful, but I can make you more beautiful if you let me cast a spell on you.
Ooh.
So he's a spellcaster,
He is a witch.
not a warlock.
Nope.
Okay. Do you have warlocks in your world?
They would not go by warlocks. They would go by witches.
There you go. Everyone's
Okay.
a witch.
Yep, everyone. Doesn't matter what you are a witch.
So there.
And if you irritate me, I move the letter up in the alphabet.
Absolutely. Or turn you into a frog.
So tell me about Carwin.
So Carwin, when I was first getting to know his character, because he's actually a fairly recent character of mine, the first thing that came to me was that he is a master of love magic as well as manipulation magic, though he doesn't realize he knows manipulation
That's
magic.
interesting. Love and manipulation next to each other.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Like a horse and carriage.
That's because there's a very fine line between love magic and manipulation magic, which
Seduction and love is different, and yes, it's an important distinction.
is why he doesn't realize he manipulates people.
Ruh-roh.
But as I got to know his character more, I actually realized that he works in his parents' bakery / non-alcoholic brewery, which primarily makes ale. They actually run like a little cafe that sells the cakes and non-alcoholic ale to people. And he also has his mother's charisma, but he's got his father's obliviousness. He loves to flirt with people, so he'll go up and he'll be like, "You are beautiful. Do you want a piece of cake?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure." And then he'll continue talking about how the cake can make him more beautiful and
He
stuff
doesn't
like
even realize he's.
Okay.
that. Yeah.
So 2 comments I have here before we move on to the next character. So the first one is, and I want to so first of all I want to defend Carwin. Okay.
Defend him.
I need to defend him here.
All right, let's hear this.
Okay.
In defense of Carwin.
In defense of him.
He's actually probably my favorite, to be honest.
Okay. I remember in my late teens and my early 20s, one of my closest best friends, John, used to talk to me and he used to say, "You're such a flirt. You're always flirting. You're always flirting. You're always flirting." I'm like, "I don't know what you mean. I don't flirt." And he's like, "No, yes you do. You're always flirting." And one day we were crossing a road and there was a police officer there and there was a older woman, at the time we called her an old lady, and a dog. And we got to the other side and I talk to the dog and I say something to the lady and I say something to the policeman. He goes, "I get it. You really don't know you're flirting. Because I just watched you flirt with a dog, an old woman, and a police officer, and I know you're not interested in any of them. So you don't get," and I said, "I'm not flirting, I'm giving sincere attention. I'm engaging."
So Carwin is engaging.
So Carwin is engaging. Now,
I like it.
this is somebody who doesn't know the difference between manipulation magic and love magic, and you based it on your husband. So what does that say about your marriage? I just want to know.
Okay, that part wasn't
Inquiring
based on
minds.
my husband. It's mostly the looks and like
The
parts
facial
of the
expressions.
yeah, part of
Okay.
the personality. Like,
Okay, so you said you based this character on your husband,
yeah.
and this. Now you've just given me a picture.
Chibi.
Yep, it's my chibi version of my husband. For those who don't know what chibi is, it's basically a smaller and typically less detailed version of a character. In my case, there's no noses on my chibi versions, as well as mitten hands and huge feet.
Okay.
I like the mitten hands because
So-
hands are so difficult to draw.
So, because I thought you first said the cheapy version,
No, not chibi.
and I'm thinking, okay, so it's cheap because it's discounted because no fingers, it's discounted no nose.
That's right. You know,
Am I the only one that thinks this way?
Chibi. C-H-I-B-I. Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to try to go through a couple more characters so people can kind of like engage more in your work.
Yeah, sure.
So, tell us about this character.
that
I'm not
is-
even going to guess gender because this obviously is a
Person.
gender-free zone. Go ahead.
That is Kelly the Dreamer, one of my website mascots, in the illustration touching dreams, just touching bubbles that contain her dreams. It's also on my cell phone.
Well, it's you. You are Kelly the Dreamer.
Yeah. So,
My subconscious is now on the T-shirt. And my
My
cell phone
subconscious is now on a T-shirt. You know, that's such an interesting concept. I can't say that I can say that about my novels. I suppose my subconscious is in there somewhere, but
well, I think all artists.
I suppose, yeah. I love the way she just put that, though. It's like, my subconscious is on a T-shirt.
Well, yeah, and I mean, what you want to think about is when we're creating art, you know, we get billions of pieces of information every day that our conscious brain can't quite, you know, analyze all of.
That's true.
It goes into our subconscious, which is the largest limitless storage base in the universe of pieces of information,
Yeah.
and then it comes out in art. So of course, we channel parts of our subconscious in whatever we're doing.
That's true.
Yep.
You just happen to put it on a
T-shirt.
T-shirt.
And another merch. But I love it because, you know, I mean, you do, as you said, you have stories that go with this
Yep.
character.
She's that one. I mean, she's my mascot, so she doesn't quite have a story, though I really want to write one, but not quite sure yet with that one. But some of our other versions do have stories. So.
Oh.
Okay, so there's Kelly the Dreamer, and now I have to say this makes me think a little bit of Roger Rabbit, the Jessica of Robert Rabbit.
And yet this
But
is
she's
a dark character. You can see, look what she's holding in
She's
her
actually
hand.
she actually would be a character that I would say she seems dark, but she's actually light.
There you go.
Well, when
She's
you
both-
described her off air, that's what I thought.
There
I'm
you
like,
go.
yeah.
She's both the Seelie and Unseelie.
Yes,
Right.
we were talking on another show about the Seelie and Unseelie court in the fairy world. So, what is her name?
Her name is Deathina. When I had originally created her, which was back in 2008, she was just simply known as the Death Fairy. It wasn't until I started drawing some new artwork for conventions that I decided to bring her back to the forefront, and the name Deathina popped in my head. I was like, that's her name.
It's so
Okay.
cute.
Does she bring death or does she eat death?
I guess you could say she's like a reaper, as my mom put it, more like an angel of death. She works with both literal and figurative deaths, so it might be someone is dying and she helps them pass over peacefully, or something like killing a bad relationship or a bad habit. She also
So that's
does
more
as
like
well.
the tarot, when death appears in a tarot reading.
Yeah, death in the tarot is not
Literal.
is not literal. So what I find fascinating is, and this was a few years ago when I had my show 5 days a week on the radio, we did a whole death series.
Really?
And it was about death of self, death of relationship, death of beliefs. It also was about suicide, physical death.
Right.
But we did, I think it was like a 6-part series trying to kind of blow out the idea of death and why are so many people afraid of it. And stuff like that. So I wish I'd known about that character back then.
But but it's nice that she is this sort of balance of light and dark. You know, a lot more and more mythos is used, and there she is again, use death as neither good nor bad. It's not.
Just is.
It just is, exactly. It's not on the side of light and dark.
And so pronounce your name again for me, Defina?
Deathina.
Defina.
Yes.
Yep.
Like
So there she
Thumbelina,
is.
but with death.
Okay, so you just really need to create one of these that's half and half. So it's white on one side with her, and then black on the other side. You know,
That'd
like
be
a
pretty cool.
little, like not even a little like yin yangy thing going on about the dark and light of
I just
death.
love like the little skull in her.
Thank you. Sadly, Deathina is banned from leaving without the permission of the fairy king and queen because she's got a very, very powerful ability that they're uncertain of how she will use it. Of course, she is a bit rebellious.
Okay, see now that's an interesting concept. She's not allowed out of the house because her parents do not trust her talents.
Is it a maturity issue or is it a control issue?
Yes.
Maybe,
Maybe both.
maybe a bit of both. She didn't know she had the ability until she got really, really angry and it just kind of happened.
Oops.
And it caused a pretty big mess, so they want to make sure that she can control her ability, and even then, because she does focus on death, they want to make sure that she's not going to use it incorrectly. She's got something pretty powerful going on there.
But this is a really, she does have something really powerful going here, and this is a really important theme. I mean, my God, you could do so much of this, but I'm thinking just the movie Frozen, which was, Disney's biggest hit ever. She has a power that can kill.
Yeah.
And as well as create, and her parents pretty much lock her up and make her completely and totally afraid of her ability. So that's, I mean, just as a theme, as a writer, as a creator, that's a...
Okay, you really need to let it go.
I should have known. Should have known. Walked right into that.
Oh my gosh.
But I sort of see her making a castle out of snow and changing her clothes instantly, making a black snowman.
These also don't even like scratch the surface of my characters. I just
Well,
wanna...
you talk about you've branded yourself within the network, and it really is because you've brought some of these other. I mean, I love this. Look, she's in process.
So, yep, that's actually, I have the finished version too of that page
Cool.
right here.
So there you go. So in process.
So this is actually
all the
from my comic,
linings.
Make Me a Model, which you can go read right now online.
Cool.
I think I have 24 pages up right now. It is currently on
It's a bit
hiatus.
of a long way there. I love that.
But yeah, with that, you can see the progress of the artwork. You can see my really awesome multicolored mechanical pencils that I used, and then
They're
the
pretty.
pencil lighting. Thank you. For another good one,
Okay, so I want to know. I want to know.
Who is this?
Now, who? So who?
Who's that character?
So who's that character and who's that character?
The one in the front with the winky face is Bia Mawel. They are the main character of the comic, which Make Me Model is about Bia Mawel entering a fashion competition, which, as you can probably hear, sounds very different from these other characters that I have.
Oh my!
Bia, actually, the quirk of where they live is actually nobody has the concept of gender roles, so everyone just happens to be a fashionista. I don't know why. I started writing it. I was like,
They have no
Watching-
gender rules. Did you say that?
Rules or roles, and
Rules or-
therefore everybody lives in entertainment television.
they like literally everyone just like, they just is how they are. No one is like he, she, it, they, z, whatever.
Popcorn
It's
girl.
just people. Everyone is just people.
Oh.
That's it.
Here it is. Make me a model.
Yeah, it's called Make Me Model.
Oh my! Look, she's a star.
I like her.
If we put a red circle around her, she could be Captain America's next date.
She's sort of a Daphne from Scooby-Doo thing to me.
I forget how much I love Bia until I start working on Make Me Model and start drawing Bia, and I'm like, one, Bia is so gorgeous, and two, Bia is hilarious because they are very, very like they have like an attitude, and if I met them in real life, I probably would think that they were fake until I realized that it was just their personality and they're actually being genuine.
So she's like Legally Blonde, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Definitely Elle, who is, yeah.
So I love that. I am Bia Mawel, a self-proclaimed hot blonde bombshell who lives in Heart Connect Heart.
Yep.
There you go.
So there you
You got to
go.
give her the confidence factor too. And you were talking about inspiring with it, depending on, and having a place where you can be this fab and that's genuine is kind of inspiring. And it doesn't matter. And you said it's a place of gender fluidity and nobody cares one way or the other. And
They're all just like,
they're all just fabulous.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how you dress. Like when you look at page 4, which is
That's all right.
Yeah.
That's right.
yeah, there's page 4 somewhere, and you could kind of see glimpses of the people. They're all dressed very differently, all different race, like skin colors, everything. Like
We're back to like District 1 in the Hunger Games,
Well,
which gets to the fantastical and the incredible.
What I was actually thinking of was the first year when they brought out Star Trek: The Next Generation. And in that very first season, they were really pushing a lot of limits, and they had men that were wearing dresses
Yes.
that had like skirts and stuff that they were wearing.
Tunics or whatever they want to
Whatever they wanted
Yeah.
to call them. But they did that, but you didn't see it in any of the other seasons because there was actually some negative
bounce back, yeah.
bounce back about it. But I mean, that was a cutting edge show in the 80s. I mean, they
Yeah.
did
It was.
some
They
phenomenal.
eventually did a character who was a parasitic character, and it moved from a male body to a female body, and
Couldn't understand why Dr.
didn't
Beverly
still love
Crusher did like what's wrong?
just a body.
It's just a body. I've been saying
Who I
that for
am and who
years.
loves you. I love that episode. Who I am and the person who loves you is still perfectly here. It's just different outside.
Yeah.
So I love this, and this is the kind of thing that does inspire, and
you.
clearly inspires you. I mean, it's amazing how. I mean, we met at Aresia, which is a sci-fi fantasy conference
Yep.
in Boston on Martin Luther King weekend, and
Was
Max
Martin
and
there?
No,
Oh,
he was
okay.
not in attendance. But Max and I, it was interesting. Max and I found your work separately.
Yeah, which is the part that made me really laugh. And you're like, oh, my son.
You're the one that, because Max had told me about her, but I didn't put it together until later, until after we had spoken for a while. But there was definitely something about your work that, I mean, I don't follow Pokemon, I don't read manga, but yet I found myself drawn to this.
Oh,
because I'm a storyteller, and there were stories here. There were clearly stories here and characters here with backstories and future stories and hopes and dreams and journeys and all that kind of good stuff. And
Yeah.
I love it.
So what? And that coffee mug over there, that's Deathina.
That's
again.
Deathina again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Deathina.
It's
So-
Death Wish coffee.
Well, people that take my coffee have a death wish.
Really? The other thing I like my coffee like I like my Death Stars dark and large or something like that. Coffee cups.
Yeah,
Something like
we're
that.
not going to go there.
Right, sorry.
We're back to Let It Go. So what is your ultimate, you have a whole hidden set of characters at some point that you want to launch and a universe you want to create?
Yeah, I have like most of my friends have just like planets, and all the stories are isolated to like all these different planets. I have a universe, a connected storyline. I have characters that are all on different planets. You should be able to link every single character like back to each other, whether it's actually through like ancestry, through a friend of a friend,
I love it.
or some person you passed on the street and said hi to.
Okay, so I have a professional question to ask from you because one of the genres I've written in is science fiction.
Mm-hmm.
How much energy before you started creating any storylines did you do in creating the universe itself?
Honestly, it just kind of comes along and it gets revealed to me as I explore it.
So it kind of unfolds itself?
Yeah, it comes. Yeah.
First a character, usually? Or does it, is there...
Sometimes it's the character. Sometimes with the characters, I can feel like I kind of go through the different worlds that I have, and if they don't fit there, they fit somewhere else that I haven't tapped into yet. a lot of times they do fit into one of the worlds that are already there, and then it's figuring out how exactly they fit in, and that usually comes pretty fast. And then it's also just, it's something that tends to come along.
Now, are they all of the same race or species, or do you have different races and species?
I guess technically different races and species.
Yeah.
Like there's a couple aliens, but those guys are like really ancient, so they don't tend to show up too much. They do show up in one of my stories that I have in my head, but
Yeah, I was just curious because
Yeah.
when I started my science fiction series, I found I spent my first 100 pages was all backstory, because it's like I got to create the planets, the universe, the history of the races.
Right, the thing that nobody
because,
sees.
Yeah,
but-
because
Yeah.
this and you're not actually promoting it in a science fiction way, because science fiction readers are known to jump all over you if you have something that's an inconsistent plot point at some point in your. But that's really your hardcore science fiction junkies.
Well, you know that too about, having been a fan of certain things. God forbid they make a mistake in Pokemon or,
can't tell you how many times something has been retconned in Pokemon, and all of us are like, "Are you serious? You just said that it was this
You
last
know
season."
this is true, and now you've done this.
Yeah, and that's why I was curious. We are wrapping up the show.
Yeah.
This is Trainer Kelly. You have her website and contact information. You
Yeah.
can check out her
Merch.
merchandise, the
merch and my stories, which you can just go right to the
stories
website.
and the
for that.
merch and the stuff and
All the things.
And all the things.
all the things. And Kelly, we look forward to when you unveil the new universe and get the new stuff out, and maybe at that point we'll have you back on the show to talk about that.
That'd be awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
So, hey, go create. That's what you were born to do.